everything in there. All right. That was crazy what just happened on there. All right. So we go. All right. I'm getting overridden. We're about to go live for a true crime episode. Then we can. Yep. Andrew's going live on that. We got to do a cross podcast on that. Anyways, I got to get that off. All right, we're live. I got to check the YouTube, guys. Everybody, thanks for coming on tonight. We got like 8 people. No, okay. Let's see. We're a little later tonight than usual. And, that's fine. I just wanted to see, because my people on YouTube are usually start coming on at 9:00. So I tried this, but tonight the reason why a little bit later is because what am I doing here? Okay, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. There's the live. All right, here we go. I'm up on that looking good. Let's see if the microphone. What am I doing here? Okay, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. There's the live. All right, here we go. So we're gonna hit the chat. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the live podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Heaven Hill, grain to glass, and bourbon hunting. Feel free to comment. We will be watching. All right, there we go. I hit that up. I'm hoping I'm going to put this into the case so I can watch it there. And we'll do a shameless, our normal thing. Get ready. We're ready to go there. I wasn't sure if Supernatural was coming on tonight, but he's not. And I've got this to do. I got to share the screen once tonight. And welcome everybody to our live. This is the pre-podcast for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We are on YouTube and live on Facebook. We're about ready to get recording the actual podcast. When we do that, there's usually about a 45-second quiet time, which leads into our theme song, and we start the podcast from there. Tonight, we're doing Heaven Hill, Grain to Glass, the weeded edition. I believe they got a number on this. Bex 619 or 61G8 or 98. I think I should put my glasses on there because right now it's 6158. There you go. And then we're gonna be sipping on that, barrel bashing it, rating it, see what it's all about. And then also we're going to be talking about bourbon hunting, especially during this holiday season. And also some news throughout the industry today. For me, it's sad to an extent. It's an end of an era, and it makes no sense. And we're going to talk about this a little bit on the podcast. So with that said, okay, taste and find out soon. All right. So remember, everybody, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Check us out. But I got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Rosewood Bourbon and Rye. Jason Giles down there in Texas, making some damn good bourbon. Check it out. If you ever see something on, pick it up off the shelf. But he basically does Kentucky and purchases Kentucky and Indiana whiskey. He ships it semi down to Kentucky or down to Texas and lets it age in the hot Texas summer season at least. And it's fantastic. You got to check it out. Plus, then Whiskey Thief Distilling Company in Frankfort, Kentucky. You guys got to check it out. It's a barrel pick all day, every day. They've got 2 locations now. Their distillery, there in Frankfurt, about 15 minutes from Buffalo Trace. Anytime you're down at Buffalo Trace, you gotta stop off at Whiskey Thief. You walk in, there's 5 barrels. The staff is fantastic. Hannah, and then ownership with Walter. Then you've got Kelly and Derek distilling there. Anytime you're walking in, you got a chance to see them. It's an active distillery. The pot still can be going. They're fermenting, they're cooking. The whole thing is happening. They make specializing in bourbon, but also Kelly has been doing some fantastic gin. And you just got to check them out. Great gift shop, great merchandise. They've got a food truck down there, great food, live music on the weekends. So you just got to get down there, check it out. Plus, also their Nulu location. Same thing. We were just there this past Saturday. I was there, met up with friends, Mark Carter and Christy Atkinson, and went through a little bit of a flight. The bar's full bar, had a old fashioned right from a barrel. And then their barrel picks, they had 5 barrels to choose from. People were coming in and just having an absolutely good time. They've got live music, piano set up there. It's decorated beautiful for Christmas. Got to check out either location or both. So, also remember Alan Bishop, the master, who used to be the master distiller of the Spirit of French Lick, and now is the head master distiller at Old Homestead in on Potoka Lake in Indiana. Anyways, that was messed up. But Alan Bishop, you got to check out his "If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything" podcast. It is fantastic. It combines the best of the spirits industry and the spiritual realm. It mixes both of them. He has guests that are in the industry that have spiritual encounters. It covers everything. Fantastic. Me and Roxy have been on it. If you can check that out, it's You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything on all the major podcast formats. And then also remember that the Spirit of French Lick, a lot of Alan's stuff is still there. It's right there in French Lick, Indiana. They got Maddie Gladden. They've got the William Dalton. They've got Lee Sinclair, all for sale there in their gift shop. It's fantastic whiskey of what Alan did. It's not going to be the same for long. It just can't be. And so you got to get there, pick up some of that. And then also remember our barrel picks were the last barrel picks that Alan Bishop was associated with. He was right there with us in the warehouse picking out the best barrels. So we've got William Dalton and a Lillian Sinclair, which is the only expression of this brand that Alan has a tie to. So if you're interested, contact me. We're running a holiday special and we'll go from there. But I see Gregg Snyder's on. Hey, Gregg. Good to see that you're here. My wife is home now. You'll hear a little bit of dinging and dinging and whatever. So we got that out of there. So we are going to get the podcast started. Once again, everybody on Facebook and YouTube, there's going to be a brief moment of silence, and then you'll hear some music, and we'll get this baby rolling. Here we go. sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, it's sure fun to watch. We love what we do, we're drinking every brew, and we talk some shit, but we tell it the truth. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, raising hell, making some noise. Yeah, we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, we're here to have fun, and we hope you enjoy. We're here to have fun. Yeah! Welcome back to another exciting podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Tiny here tonight. I'm by myself, so just everybody bear with me. Last week I thought it was going to be by myself, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Super Nash chimed in. But tonight, I think CT and Super Nash are out of commission. We're still, Whiskey is kind of on a sabbatical. Hopefully he can join in sometime coming up. So a couple of, but I'm going to tell you the sabbatical will be over coming up because next week when we all get together, we are all going to be together starting on Thursday night with our Bookers podcast where CT will be chiming in out of remote, but we will have hopefully Whiskey, Super Nash, and myself all in studio. And then with that said, coming up then on our Christmas party, we're all attending that and our Bourbon of the Year and Holiday podcast on Friday that'll all be going live where we're all going to be together. So super excited for that. Super excited for that. www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. And then also we are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and all the major podcast formats, Apple, iHeart, Spotify, anywhere you listen. But no matter what way you listen to us, like, listen, subscribe, and leave good feedback. Listen, subscribe, and leave good feedback. So the feedback is really important. Commenting is very important. We appreciate all the comments on YouTube and on Facebook. It's great. Tonight, got Walker in the comments already. We got Gregg Snyder joining us for a little bit. This has been, what would you say? Kind of an upsetting day, but I think I'm gonna get. I was gonna talk bourbon hunting, and I was gonna talk the Heaven Hill grain to glass. Let's go straight to the Heaven Hill grain to glass. This product came out, and I've got a little bit on it right here. Let me check it out. I don't know if I'm gonna screen save it or I'm just gonna look at it. But works with, so this is Heaven Hill Grain to Glass Kentucky Straight Wheated Bourbon Whiskey. Each year, our master distiller works with Beck's hybrids to select a new corn seed and varietal. That corn seed varietal is proudly displayed on the label, along with the unique mash bill that is different from our traditional wheated bourbon mash bill. So this is different than their Larceny and their Old Fitz. The first edition of Heaven Hill Grain Glass Straight Wheated Bourbon Whiskey aged for 6 years in the Rick House, W3 on the third floor and fifth floors. It was bottled without chill filtration at 121 proof. The corn seed varietal chosen for this release was Beck's 6158. So that's what it is. And it's funny because it's a new brand from Heaven Hill and it's different. And I would have thought people would have, the price range is pretty good. I'm pretty sure this was in the, if I'm not mistaken, like $79 at the distillery. So probably in the 69. And for some reason, there's a ton of it left. And when we were there just this past not this not tonight, but last week, Thursday, we were there for the Holiday on the Hill celebration, and this was on the shelf everywhere, and it just was not going off the shelf. I don't know if they made a lot or it's not or what. Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be as popular amongst the collectors, and I would have thought it would have been. But I think this is it was distilled in 2017, so it's 6 years. It's 35 wheat, 52 corn, and 13 malt. It is 100, like they said, 121 proof. And I wonder if I can, since 1935, Heaven Hill Distillery has been dedicated to crafting the highest quality Kentucky whiskey. This led us to start at the very beginning, the seed. Each year, our master distiller, partners with, so we already talked about that. So there we go with this Beck's hybrid. So here we go. I don't understand. I've opened it. It's a wheated. I would think that this would have been just the same. Oh, wow. That would have been just the same as any other Heaven Hill product. I mean, Old Fitz. I mean, these things get released and people, Heaven Hill 18-year, William Heaven Hill. They keep coming up with massive amounts of different, larceny, all barrel proof, A1, it's just crazy. And this is a barrel proof. It's 121. It seems to be right there. I'm going to tell you in this glass, this Scotchy Bourbon Boy Glencairn. That's what you can get at www.scotchybourbonboys.com. It basically seems to do the color is fantastic for a wheated. I mean, it's a dark amber cinnamon kind of color. I mean, and it's just clinging in that glass so spectacularly. My fingers are greasy. And then the legs are thick. So the viscosity looks fantastic on this. Let's see. So we got Malik on from France. Cheers, Malik. It's great to have you on. We're tasting a little bit of this Heaven Hill grain to glass. Now, Walker, I'm going to decide in a little bit if I'm going to actually, I don't know if I'm going to actually, got to see you guys. Closer to 100 at the distillery. Just counted it for the Holiday on the Hill. So it was a discount on Holiday on the Hill. All right. I did not know that. All right. I like it a lot. 119.8 proof at less than 70. Excellent barrel pick by the Fort Knox Commanders. So the nose on this is fantastic. It's 6 years old, so I thought this, because they say grain to glass. I thought maybe this would be but this is a big boy nose of a barrel proof. Oh, I'll barrel bash this. I'm going to barrel bash that. All right. So this segment is brought to you by the Old Louisville Whiskey Company. Amin down there is doing a fantastic job. Make sure if you're in the Louisville area to check out the Old Louisville Whiskey Company, blending some great spirits, and it's a great tour that he does. You get to taste right from the barrel. Fantastic. All right. So, anyways, this Heaven Hill grain to glass. This is the wheated. I mean, it's really cool. It actually says Kentucky Straight Wheated Bourbon Whiskey, which is funny because wheated isn't an actual. The spell checker won't let you even do it. You have to bypass it. Wheated is not It's a Kentucky straight wheat bourbon whiskey, but the wheat is kind of cool that we've made it a name. Uh, the label's fantastic. It makes you think, in the name, grain to glass. I mean, how can you go wrong on that? Nice bottle, great cork. It's a real cork. It's a real cork on this nice wood top. I mean, presentation's fantastic, folks. And then, oh, just the legs just last in there so long. They're just sitting there right now. All right, we're going to give it a taste. The Heaven Hill Larceny cinnamon is there. Wow. Interesting. That's palate shock right there. Everything was barrel proof, and that baby, the hug was just almost like fire. I'm warm. If I was a little bit cold in my basement right now, I'm totally warm. So I'm telling you, first experience, I'm not going to say that that was negative. This is something. It's that's going to be some good stuff even with more age, but with this, very sweet on the front with notes of leather and cinnamon. It sits on your tongue, and you can taste the leather on your tongue still on the mid palate, but then Celestine says he's from France and he loves my channel or our channel. So thank you, Celestine, for watching. Appreciate it. Now, Mike is speaking, looks like Russian Walker. I don't have that. 101 and 106 today. So, uh, Randy, are you talking about the grain to glass, or are you talking about Greg Snyder's pick from Fort Knox? That's what I'm getting confused on. All right. Oh, yeah. All right. 121 proof. This is everything. So if you're a guy that likes a little bit of that leathery feeling or taste, just a little. It's little. It's not bitter, but it's definitely my glove string. There's no doubt that it's the most definition of a leather I've ever tasted in my life. I've gotten leather, but this one is okay, and I like it. Randy, I agree. There's some aspects of this that still that most wheats don't. Now, the wheat that I've been sipping on that they introduced at Whiskey Thief is very cherry, where this is like replacing cherry with cinnamon, but it's not what your normal, uh, your normal, what would you say? It's not your normal wheated bourbon. It's different, but I like it too. I'm going to say I like it. There's an aspect of this at 121 right there that is fantastic. I wish I should have bought another bottle based off this, but I've been having this for a little bit. I bought this in September I believe I bought it right at Kentucky Bourbon Festival. And oh God, the nose is spectacular. There's no All right. That is really good. So Foolproof Hunter is on from Mississippi. This Heaven Hill grain to glass. We got Randy Ford, we got Walker, we got Gregg on. I'm giving this is an up. So let's quick give this the barrel back, the old Louisville Whiskey Company barrel bashing segment of Heaven Hill grain to glass Kentucky straight wheated bourbon. We are going to do it off the rating system, the barrel bash, Scotchy Bourbon Boys barrel bashing rating system, which is based off of nose, body, taste, and finish. 4 for the body and 4 for the nose. 5 can be applied to the taste and the finish. And if any specific category, you can add one time a but up. So if it's spectacular, you could get 19 of 18. So I'm going to go off the nose on this one. And the cinnamon and the strength of the nose, but also the oak and the aspect of the barrel proof all shines through. It reminds me of a cinnamony Booker's. So if you're going to do that, that's even more crazy. So I'm going to go with I'm a fan of cinnamon, so I'm going to hit that baby with a 4. 4 on the barrel bash there. Now, if we go here on the body, if we go here and we're on the body, I got to be able to do that. I have no idea what's going on here, but he did a true crime and he's going to be Anthony should be joining us in a second. It allows him to see and be a part and comment in. Wow. Hopefully, no idea what's happening there, but so I love it in the glass, the thickness. Now, 21 proof. Damn, it's everywhere. The body, this body, honestly, the sweetness and everything, I'm going to give this a 4 with the but up 5. The but up is earned on the body. I mean, seriously. I mean, the body is the strength of this. I mean, and it's not a bad thing. I mean, it really lets you taste this taste everywhere. Wow. Impressive for the price. And I don't understand this, that people should be going out and buying this. I definitely like this more than I like Larceny. And there are some expressions of Old Fitz that this is better, and there's some expressions of Old Fitz that is better than this. But now we're going to come to the taste. This is really good. Like I said, you got leather mid palate, you've got the cinnamon, you got the sweetness. It's like a red hot that you're dealing with. So I like it. Nice hug. So, but I will say that when I'm looking for a weeded or whatever to compare this to like a Pappy or a Weller, it's way different. Able to join? Dylan Justice is on right now. Let's see. What? Let's see what's going. Let's see. One American and whiskey to join. Sent a link where we can't join. Oh, but you just joined. You're joined in, Anthony, right now, and Dylan. So, are you trying to? Right now, I'm not. I wasn't set up to have you guys just join in through video through the. I mean, there's a way I could send a link to the actual podcast. You know, to where I could send a link to you to be on the Zoom meeting and come onto the podcast. But right now, I'm not set up on Face or YouTube for multiple people. So it's just kind of like if you want to, we're tasting the Heaven Hill grain to glass weeded Kentucky straight weeded bourbon. All right, so the taste out of 5, I am going to say is not complicated, and it's not so it's I'm torn between on the taste. I'm going to go 3. Now, the finish. Great finish. It's long, delicious. For a 6-year bourbon, this is so good, so sweet. And it's a long finish. So I'm going to go to I'm going to go on the finish. I'm going to go with a 4. So I believe we were nose. Gosh, Walker, what did I give the nose? Oh my God. I'm going to go with Walker. Seriously, was yesterday your birthday? That is some crazy crap. I don't know how I missed that. Happy birthday, brother. The nose. So, Walker, what did I give the nose? Did I give it a 3 or a 4? I remember giving the body a 5, and I remember 5. I think it was a 4, but all right, I'm gonna say 4, 5, which is 9, and then it pulled a 3, 10, 11, 12, and a 4, which puts you at 16 and 18. So we're right around there. So 16 out of 18 is not bad. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you. So we're 16 of 18 on this, and it's spectacular. I don't understand its availability. I would think you would be able to pull way more. This should be if you're at Heaven Hill and this is on the this weeded is on the shelf. This is the Beck's 6158 grain to glass Kentucky straight weeded bourbon, 16 of 18, Scotchy Bourbon Boys barrel bash. So there you go on that. Now, real quick, Gregg Snyder is on tonight, and I consider Gregg a extremely personal friend, even a brother. Gregg and I, when Gregg helped us start when we were starting this podcast, Gregg took me and Young Nose and Xavier under his wing. I mean, even when there was a night when after we were done with the live and he had chimed in and we called him direct, and seriously, honestly, we called him direct and he was passing a kidney stone and he still talked to us at his kitchen table. And we were, I mean, just the time that Gregg has put in to explain the maturation of barrels and how important the barrel can be, and the amount of detail after working at the cooperage for Brown Foreman as their head of their cooperage department for 8 years, how with the brand Chicken Cock brand, he was using those barrels and making barrels. Initially, he was able to pick barrels, but eventually he got into making the barrel perfectly. Now, there's a couple years that he did this, and this stuff is starting to come to the shelf. But the news that we got today is that at the end of the year, the end of this year, which is what? Today's the 20th or the 19th, so 12 days. He will no longer be employed by Grain and Barrel Spirits, which is the company that had used and hired him to bring back the chicken cock brand. Now, we just kind of went through this a little bit. Um, just kind of went through this with Alan Bishop leaving the Spirit of French Lick. And for me, Alan Bishop was the Spirit of French Lick. I don't know how they're going to evolve into anything without him. They're trying. I'm willing to, because the Spirit of French Lick was initially with Alan, such a support system from being our first sponsor. They still are our sponsor, but I really don't know yet what's going on. And when I went to pick up our barrels, it was so different without Alan there. There's stuff that we were maturing. He was maturing and we were tasting. And he had so many different barrels to taste through. And when we go there, he'd ask our opinions and whatever. And now the ownership doesn't even know what they got aging. They don't know what's in there, and not the way that Alan. What I mean, there's stuff that I'm sure since Alan left in March that has been aging and is probably gone too far. We knew it was close and it's gone too far. Now, Gregg, on the other hand, I mean, this man has learned from the best in the industry. Jimmy Russell, Booker, Elmer T. Lee. He was in the industry when these men were reviving the bourbon industry back to where it is today, and he understood what they did and what bourbon means to people. The reason why people go out on the road in the spirits industry to sell a spirit such as bourbon, like why did Booker tour around the country, talk about the bourbon, talk about what he was doing? Why does Fred and Freddie do dinners and tastings and stuff like this? Because quite frankly, whiskey and bourbon taste better when you're tasting it with the people that you get to know and love. And if they become your friends, the people who make it, it makes the bourbon taste even better. The It's the camaraderie. The bourbon is the glue of an industry that depends on people using it for the best of times, whether it be the best of time of the day or the best of time of the week or the best of time of an epic like our Christmas party. Uh, the bourbon is the reason to get together because we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys and the whiskey, but the people are why you want to get together. And when you're with friends and family and you're close and everybody appreciates good bourbon and whiskey, everything is accentuated. Your taste buds, your olfactory, you know, glands, everything. It's just at a higher level because one, you're having a good time, and two, so good quality bourbon and whiskey is important, but it just this is how it's taken to another level. And Booker knew that if you went out and met everybody and you showed them that you had good whiskey and you had a connecting moment with them to tie them with Booker and his personality and his uniqueness with the whiskey, when you went to make your decision of so many on the shelves, you're going to pick Booker's or you're going to pick Knob Creek, whatever the heck that's what it's about. Because most people who are just average connoisseurs, when they walk in, they might have been influenced by an Evan Williams commercial. Right now, you see Evans Williams commercial, you see Crown. And so I think right now you're probably selling a lot of Crown because I see a lot of those commercials. Those are what you remember when you walk in. Now, what you sell at bars to put on their shelves, because whiskey is a 50-50 proposition, half of it sold retail and half of it sold wholesale to bars and restaurants. Because it's this, the bars and restaurants can influence what people buy off the shelf. So, what kind of time people are having at a bar or a restaurant can influence what they buy when they're at the liquor store and they want to have a good time with their friends. So, the essence of this industry is the people and their personalities who represent the brands and make the whiskey. I will tell you, Freddie Johnson is not a distiller of Buffalo Trace. He doesn't distill anything. Harlan Wheatley is the master distiller, and Drew Walker, you can help me on that one. But Drew is their blender, and Drew Mayville is their blender. So you got a blender and whatever, but Freddie Johnson is a brand ambassador who goes out and explains to people why whiskey is so and bourbon is so good. And that's why one of the reasons why Buffalo Trace does so well. Same thing with Yellowstone. And you're talking about Stephen Fonte, or you're talking about Burning Lubbers at Heaven Hill, what we were drinking tonight. These people are able to not sell you, but explain to you what quality whiskey can do and how it can enhance your life. And this is very important that so many people out there, they're all out there doing this. And this is why people choose Yellowstone, Buffalo Trace, uh, Heaven Hill off the shelf. It's why they do it, because they understand to get together with your friends and having a good time, and what relaxing and having a few pours with somebody means. So this is why when I started in this industry, what I love so much, but now that we've been in it and I've been doing, really kind of 2019 is when we started to get into it, but 2018 is when we started this, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys group over the summer and then eventually we started the podcast. But I will tell you, same thing with the podcast. Two members that were very, very dear friends of mine are now gone, and they're no longer dear friends of mine. Not that Young Nose is anything, but his life evolved and changed when he moved away. And as everybody knows, probably Xavier and I have had a dispute. I don't have a dispute, but he has a dispute, and it wasn't never resolved or never even given a chance to be resolved. So that makes me sad. But the Scotchy Bourbon Boys has evolved with that. That you have CT and Supernash was there almost from the beginning, and whiskey. And there might be more changes in the future because I intend to do this because of what I love about the industry and what I love about bourbon. But what I will say to you is that when Alan Bishop moved on at 39 years old, moved on from French Lick and has gone to Old Homestead, where he's much happier and he's making good whiskey, and ownership there is he has part ownership in the actual distillery. He's back with Jolie Kasperzak, and I guarantee you, they built a distillery for him instead of him uh, manipulating some equipment to make what he made. Running a still is magical. Yes, it is a technical thing, but there's so many what would you say, variables, that if you understand the variables, you could get some really, really good stuff out of it. But when it comes to him leaving the French lick, it's not the same to me anymore. I don't know. I don't know how I can. There's nobody to. He left um, Justin Whaley, and he's gone now. And so what little bit he tried to save the brand, I don't know what the brand's going to be, but without Alan there, it feels like a shell to me. And I know they have a lot of good of all of his whiskey and a lot of good whiskey, and they know what it's supposed to taste like. So the main brands, I think they can keep going. Um, we'll see as far as they go. And then from the standpoint of what just happened today, the fact that Gregg will no longer be associated with Chicken Cock whiskey saddens me to the same way. I wish Gregg I mean, I understand Gregg, but Alan was 38. Gregg, you're a little bit older than me. And you know, we love whiskey and I guarantee you're gonna keep going, but to do it again has to be an endeavor that you gotta love making whiskey. And I think, Gregg, you do have that passion and everything to keep going. And hopefully an opportunity comes around quickly. I think it will, because once everybody knows what is going on and your availability, there's so many places that you could catch on or help out or do what you do. But the Chicken Cock brand with is so different because you took them from through the main parts. And I think it's kind of crappy that the hard work was done by you that had to be done. You had to distill, you had to taste through everything, these aging barrels. You've done all the hard work. And then you put boots on the ground so people could meet you and understand your passion for making whiskey. And it's all in there. But when that small batch that goes up on the shelf gets blended with those barrels that came off the side of the mountain, uh, you're not going to be there blending them. And I don't I don't care at that point, because you should be. But the fact that the company has decided to move on and go some other direction based off of it's upsetting to me. Now, I mean, I don't think I could ever step foot in the tasting room in Bardstown. I think at one point I could see not I mean, we have pushed and pushed this brand. And in Ohio, we've been very successful. A lot of people have seen my podcasts. They know what they have. Chicken Cock whiskey is on the shelf here in Ohio. It has brand recognition. But everybody should know that if Gregg's pulling away and being pulled away and having you go in a different direction, he saved this brand. He's taken poor choices by by Gregg while he was employed by the company. I mean, when you think about that, that's just kind of crazy, right? Uh, I think it's crazy. Anyways, but what I'll say is it's I've been a Green Bay Packer fan for a long time. And you understand that you have different eras of players. You watch when you're a kid, you're watching older players. When you're a teenager, you're watching your peers that were in school right before you. And then when you're in your 20s, you're watching players that are the same age as you. Sometimes you even know people from who you went to school that's older, and then you're like watching and you're the same age as a veteran. And then you're watching and and you're same age as some of the greatest that play till their 40s, which is so few. And then now you're older and you can apply like, well, it would be cool if I could play. Now I'm at the point with this Jordan Love watching my kids play, and it all is different perspectives, but it's the same thing. The team that won in the 90s, it wasn't the same team that won it in 2010, 2011. And this team is different. And I found, and I did not think this, the brands that survive, those brands survive with different teams. It's like cheering for a sports team, you know? Um, Thanks, Dan, for watching. Really appreciate it. Thanks for telling us and participating tonight. Have fun on the trail. But, it's crazy at this point. It's just a little bit now. I don't, I'm friends with Gregg. I mean, it'll be fun because at this point, when I go to his house, pretty much I would say there's a lot more different whiskeys on the table than there was before, because before there was a lot of chicken cock at Gregg's house and we enjoyed that. He made it's his. I will be interested to see exactly, Gregg, how how you evolve your brand of what you made and what you have and what where you go. I mean, although there's a divorce happening, the whiskey's still your kid. It's just being raised by, if it's a divorce, another stepmom, stepdad, or whatever the hell. Anyways, it would be nice to think that maybe someone could come in there, save that. But I honestly, based off of what I've seen before, I don't think anybody's coming in to save anything. It's going to be rough. And without you being a part of it, what little chance I think they had to survive based off of the business model that they set up, they no longer have it. It's pretty much, in my opinion, it'll be over. Will Time will tell, and we will see. But I can guarantee you now, Tyler, I think, is still there, and I respect Tyler. Tyler's great, but even some of the stuff that we were able to get to promote, I don't think, if Gregg's not involved, I'm not that interested in promoting. I mean, Gregg was and is chicken cock, and if he's not there, it's false advertising. It's what it is. I don't see how you can spend 5 straight years promoting and putting the master distiller on the trail, making videos, making that pictures and Facebook posts and everything about the greatness of Gregg Snyder, and then over very, very, very little money. I mean, we are talking, it's ridiculous, in my opinion. I don't know the exact whatever, but all Gregg was looking for is status quo. And they didn't want to give him status quo, and it's not fair. And so over that, they're willing to end a brand. So be it. Because this world, that's one thing I know about this world. Isn't fair. But what I do know is Gregg Snyder is a great friend, and so is Alan Bishop, and they won't stop being my friends, and I just look forward to the future. Uh, Starting over is always, as you get older, it's something, but you know what? I'm looking forward to the ride because that's what's always the funnest part is the ride. All right. So, anyways, let's talk bourbon hunting. So that's what you're all here for, anyways. Bourbon hunting. So initially, Super Nash is coming in. He usually comes in. I would say he would have come in last week, and that was the normal time. This year, he's coming in the week after. He's coming Thursday and Friday after Christmas, which would be the 26th and the 27th. And on the 28th, we're driving down to Kentucky, and I'll be back home on the 29th. But it's going to be a blast, a really good time. Matt, bad news. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up. You and Nash are going to have to do what you guys got to do. I'm going to try and swing it. I'm going to try, but I was informed with the grandkids here on Thursday, and my wife and she and I had taken off, and I told her, but she misconstrued what was going on. So who knows? We'll see. But the bourbon hunting thing was done and taught to me by Super Nash. Super Nash initially why is Super Nash is because he hunted for us. I didn't even know about half the stuff that he would get us, and he'd send it up. He'd send samples, he'd send bottles, and we would review them on the podcast. He's the supplier of the bourbon that we did all of our podcast. We would have never we weren't able to get any of this stuff, but then I think about 4 years ago, he came up and he showed me what you had to do with it. Hey, Hannah, showed me what you had to do and what you had to do and how to hunt. And realistically, hunting is a patient game that I play. Now, the first thing you should do when you're hunting is get to know the people at your local liquor store on a friendly basis. And it's easy. When you walk in, you ask them some questions, you're respectful to them because the one thing that most liquor store owners or managers or cashiers do not like is flippers. And we're going to talk about flippers in a couple weeks. But flippers are rude, they're aggressive, they come in, they're disrespectful, and all they're looking for, they're not drinkers. They don't love bourbon. They're just looking for the bottle because they know they can make money off of it. So if you talk to the cashier or you talk to the manager or you talk to the liquor store owner about bourbon and Supernash, he'll go to and the liquor store owner will know it's Supernash. And before you know it, he's in the back and the liquor store owner's special stash is out and they're having a cigar and a whiskey. And, this has happened more times than not. So being respectful to the people that you want to get your bourbon from or your whiskey from or your allocated stuff is the first step. So you got to have a place close to you that you're going to go to get your vodka, whatever, where you buy most of your beer, wine, alcohol. Okay. And the first thing to do is while you're in there, always talk to the people and see what's going on. What Ask them what's been dropping, when is your drop. Uh, Liquor stores get their deliveries at all different times of the week because as the state's distributing, it's not like it just distributes on Tuesday. It can't. There's 200 different locations in the state of Ohio, and they cannot hit them all on the same day. So everybody's getting it on different days. So here in the state of Ohio, the people who get it on Monday, that's when you get the feeling of what's going to be released because it got released on Monday. So that's the first part of Bourbon Hunting 101. Find out the place where you buy your bourbons, drop date or delivery truck date that it comes in. Now, in a lot of cases, some will hold off till the next morning. But when it comes in, they know what they got. Now, if it's the state of Ohio and it comes in, some of the stuff that's not allocated, like barrel picks through the state of Ohio, have to go out on that date. The giant eagles throughout the state of Ohio all dump on Saturdays. So it used to be weekday lines, which I could never participate because I work 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And those the liquor store opens at 9, and those liquor stores basically are open at 9, and I'm working, and I could get in line, but I'd have to leave. But some really good stuff. I always thank them and I find out. Yeah. So if you get to know your guy and the date, then it's key on their drop dates to wait in line to get in line. And then when you're in line, be in line because you love bourbon and you love people. Lines for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys have two levels. I've met lots of people, especially at my liquor store. People at my liquor store are my friends now. Spanky, Derek. Just there's certain people that I've had pours in the parking lot afterwards. We all get what we want. We all are respectful of each other, and we sometimes people are getting there the night before and spending the night. Everybody's sharing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's just a good time. And for me, I also hand out all my Scotchy Bourbon Boys cards, and people that love the podcast listen. And usually, if I hand out 20 cards to new people at the line, I get 10 people checking it out. So it's really kind of cool thing. So that's the next thing. You want to wait in some lines. And then when you wait in lines, through lines, you find the people who know a lot about bourbon and they know a lot about the time periods when things drop. Now, when you're new to bourbon and you're hunting, sky's the limit, man. You're excited you got a larceny barrel pick. You're excited you got an Elijah Craig barrel pick. You're excited about a Colonel Taylor small batch. You're excited about everything new that you're getting. But you do this a couple of years and you get them. It's really, really kind of cool. But, I love stag. I get a stag. Then I get another stag. And then what's the limit for me? Uh, Depending on what it is, Blanton's, I'll keep 3 or 4. Same thing with Taylor. I want to always have 3 or 4 because they're great gifts. And I mean, I've even had it where a woman's husband loves and can't get Blantons. He thinks he can't get Blantons. But she, and asked me, and I've gotten that for her. Our banker, she's an older lady. I've gotten Blantons for her in the past. So getting Blantons and picking up Blantons is that you don't have to like wait to go to Buffalo Trace and get out of jail down there, but you've got it here. So when someone asks, you can supply them with those are Blantons and E.H. Taylor are usually something that people want and want to give as gifts so that they can't get. So that helps out too, because when you help somebody out in this awesome bourbon community, that someday they might help you out. And that's just how this works. Uh, uh, the local radio station, WKRQ, Stansbury in the morning, the local morning show radio host, has been on the podcast a couple times. The other day, we were just talking, and I hadn't gotten him a tonic album or a CD that I had gotten when I had won it on a radio station back in Wisconsin. It was signed, and he's a huge tonic fan, so I wanted to get him that. But he texted me and asked if I could get Eagle Rare, and he would pay me for the bottle. And I'm like, he came and I'm like, I don't need payment. I got Eagle Rare. I've got 4 of them. This one, he said it was okay to be opened. It was just opened a little bit because a lot of the stuff I just drink, and came by and we had a good time and picked up the bottle. And that's just how it works. But down the line, you don't know. He might be able to do we're friends. I mean, that's what it is, getting to know each other. This would never have happened if it wasn't for bourbon and whiskey. I don't think I would have ever had a reason to be have him on a I had him on a podcast. Now I'm getting to know him. He's a totally cool guy. It's just how it works. So the way I look at bourbon hunting is I'm always hunting. You can wait in line on Saturdays. You can know the drop dates at your liquor store, and you what's allocated and what's not here in the state of Ohio. Sometimes you wonder how it's not allocated, and you're just there and you get it. You're always going to get something, but you're not supposed to get everything. When you're bourbon hunting, for instance, I believe at one point a Pappy 15 I will be able to obtain, and I'm always looking, but it doesn't happen and you got to wait for it. And that's just kind of how I am. If I've got four small batch tailors and I'm fifth in line and everybody's there for small batch Taylor, I'll leave it go. I don't need that much. I want someone else to have it. But but when we're out and about and we're talking to the master distillers, we learn about all the distillery releases. So that's another way to get bottles when you're bourbon hunting. Just when you go down to Chicago, not when you go down to Kentucky, anytime you go down to Kentucky, your morning should be spent from about when the distillery opens. If it opens at 10, you want to be there about 9 and see what they got to be released. I mean, this year I obtained two bourbons. One, I spent the night in the parking lot of my liquor store. I was able to obtain a E.H. Taylor barrel proof, which that had eluded me forever. But I also was able to obtain finally Brent Elliott's, and this was at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival when we were there. But Brent Elliott's 2024 small batch select. I was able to finally get this. I hadn't been able, that was something I wanted to do, and I got one. So, although it's up for Bourbon of the Year and it's dropping fast, it's a delicious bottle that I'm willing to share. Once they're open, you got to share them, folks, because you don't want them to evaporate. So that's how I look at bourbon hunting. Uh, yep, I heard E.H. Taylor rye, but it's not barrel proof. It's just E.H. Taylor rye. I know that's Saturday. I'm thinking about it. I think that E.H. Taylor rye, Nash might, last time I got it, he was like, I want it. And I was able to get a sample off of it. But we'll see. There's a lot this weekend. All right, everybody. Depending on the release and rules, you may have to spend the night in the parking lot for Heaven Hill on the release. Yes. Sometimes when you're hunting, you have to not, well, I didn't have to spend the night, Walker. You guys spent the night, you and Randy. But when we went to the Four Roses, we slept and got there about, I want to say 3:30, and then we had our tickets by 4:45, I think, and then went back and went to bed. So we didn't. Sometimes you have to spend the night, and sometimes you don't. It just depends. I've Single Barrel Saturday here in Ohio is a blast, and it's fun to spend the night. I mean, honestly, it's like tailgating in the middle of the night. There'll be people, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's talking about fun things. So that's what we're looking at. So, all right. I am going to wrap this up for the regular podcast. I'll start it. Anybody on Facebook or YouTube have any questions at the end? Up at 9 a.m. That's my point. Yeah. But I know that somebody, the one time, I want to say when I did get my barrel pick, and I spent the first time I tried for Taylor Walker, I got to the parking lot at 10:30, and I was 9, and there was only 6 bottles. I knew there was only 6 bottles. So the next time Barrel Proof showed up, this time I knew there was 12, and I got to the parking lot at 9:30, and I was 4. And I was 4 till I wanted 3:30, and then the person who came at 7:05 got the 11th of the 12 bottles to wholesale for a restaurant distribution. So there was only 11 bottles. He told me a 10 or 11, and there was 11. And he got there at 7:05, and I spent the night. So it's just the way it is. Sometimes you get it, but now what? Not for small batch, limited editions, and not for old fits. Yeah, I mean, it just depends. The one time we were coming down, and they released an ES ES EOSK, and they released that barrel pick at the thing, and me and CT got there, and but there was enough that, and it wasn't that great, that we got there at like 11 at the Four Roses thing, and we ended up with the bottle. So I was really happy about that. It just depends. It just depends. Sometimes you can get it, and other times you can't. There's no rhyme or reason. But as far as hunting, the key is always be hunting. Be on the alert. When you're hunting, you can get the bottles through distilleries. You could get it through liquor stores. You can get them. What else? There was through lines, through lotteries. Enter all the lotteries. There's so many different lotteries. So I mean, you always got your shot. And I feel that you don't get everything because other people have to get stuff too. So what comes lately, I just basically look at it that I get to taste it. That's fantastic. I'm really happy with just tasting it and knowing what it tastes like, so that I can pick and choose what's the best of the best. We'll tell you on this year's BTAC collection, the best of the best was the William LaRue Weller. It stood apart with the caramely vanilla pudding flavor that was unlike anything I ever drank. Uh, the Stag George T. Stagg and the Eagle Rare 17, very, very good, but not the William LaRue Weller good. And then the last place was easily the Sazerac 18-year for me. It was horrible. It was I couldn't imagine if I would have paid for that bottle. Like, you got a chance to get that, and then I buy it and then have to deal with that. That's some scary stuff right there. Anyways, but that covers kind of, remember. And then also, when you go into different states, a lot of times different states, for instance, here in Ohio, Weller Special Reserve is not as sought after as it is in other states. So you could be driving in this state of Ohio and see it on the shelf, especially right now. So there's a lot of stuff that happens. But like I said, when you go into other states, always go into check out their liquor stores, because they always usually have something that you probably wanted that's more readily available in their section of the world. So that's another tip for doing that. I wonder what happened here as far as that. All right. So we'll get this show on the road. Remember, We're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys merchandise. We are talking Glencairns, t-shirts, and bourbon balls are rolled. Now we have to dip. So they should be more available sometime this weekend would be my guess. And then also remember to follow us on all social media and mainly X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We're live 8:30s on most 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on most Tuesdays and Thursdays. Check us out. And then remember, listen to us on all the major podcast formats, Apple, iHeart, Spotify. But remember, like, listen, subscribe, comment, and leave good feedback. Remember, good bourbon equals good times and good friends. Drink responsibly, don't drink it dry, and make sure you live your life uncut and unfiltered. Little Steve-O will take us out. Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you we must die. All right, we're off on that, but we're still live on YouTube and Facebook for a couple more minutes. Anybody have any specific questions? Not as everybody knows, just I'm just still processing through, in my opinion, the stupidity of letting Gregg go. It's just mind blowing, and it's just some weird ass crap is happening here. I wonder if it's who knows? It's probably my internet or whatever, but honestly, just not happy at all about that. You would think that a company would understand why and who's helping. He's their longest tenured employee. He's the one that built it and did it, and now they're not going to. He's the one that kept them from destroying themselves, who taught them what good whiskey is. So it's just very, very concerning. And then I swear to God, It's happened during the holidays. I mean, they're waiting until the end of the year. You as a company and you have a successful brand, you would this is the time to be having Christmas parties, holiday parties, celebrating everything, and getting a bonus for your hard work. Not I hate it when companies, but we're not going to extend your contract next year. Yeah, that's irritating. The whole situation is just irritating. All right, Ohio pick. How did you get that? Did you get Matt? Did you get the cookie one? Because that's the one I want. I don't know how I'm going to get it, but it's like it wasn't available anywhere here in our area. Here we go. This one is green. Save. All right, I'm saved. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna take us off YouTube because YouTube did decent tonight. but I mean, you guys, because we only have one person on at the moment, and I want to see what we did, but it seemed to be all right tonight. Let's see what we got going. Yeah, 1 and 3. There was some people from France and whatnot. Thank you tonight, everybody on YouTube. I'm going to end everybody knows is Christmas Eve, so we won't be going live, but we will be going live Thursday, 26th, the day after Christmas. All right. Good night, everybody on YouTube.